Elevators are kind of creepy when you think about it. You're trapped in a small room with strangers between floors that could stop at any time if someone hits a button or whatever. Not to mention, you're going up to different floors and the doors open when people summon the elevator and you have more people coming in and out. If you ever got into an elevator with a creepy person, you know how uncomfortable things could be. I'm the kind of guy that'll always say something and try to break the ice, but I gotta tell you, even creepy silence is not as scary as trying to make small talk and being ignored by someone. You automatically just think, well, they're sinister or they hate me. One of the two. They're both kind of creepy, but not needless to say, there's probably some really, really good horror stories about incidents on elevators. We're gonna react to one today. It's an animation by Wansee Entertainment. Make sure to subscribe to them, guys, and let's get into this animation. True horror incident.
I used to work at one company for about a year before I entered the company I'm working at currently.
All right.
I was living alone with my wife. Although we both like kids, we weren't ready yet.
Okay. I feel you there,
anyway,
buddy.
It was one night and I was heading home being drunk as usual after finishing a get-together. Passing through the front door of the apartment, I pressed the button to get on the elevator. And the elevator that was stopped on the third basement level began to climb slowly.
It said level 83.
Finally, the elevator arrived on the first floor.
Dude? Basement 3.
And I felt cold as soon as I walked inside.
Okay.
It was almost 12 o'clock and my body was getting hot by the effects of alcohol. But I could definitely feel chilly inside the elevator.
Spooky.
Well, I guess it's because the elevator stayed deep underground for a while, I thought, and then pressed the 16th floor button where I live.
Yeah.
The elevator started moving slowly. However, it suddenly stopped on the 5th floor.
All right.
Normally, the people in my apartment didn't take the elevator very often at the time.
What?
So I was standing in the middle of the elevator. As soon as the door opened, I stepped aside.
Sure.
But no one was standing there.
I mean, somebody just could have touched it.
I thought someone who was impatient must have pressed the button and then just went up to the emergency exit stairs. So I pressed the close button and the elevator stopped again on the 6th floor.
All right.
And there's no one there either. When the elevator stopped on the 7th floor, I suddenly got angry.
Sure.
Hey, stop! I stuck my head out the door and shouted.
What do you think they're doing, chasing
you up the stairs? But I didn't feel any human presence upstairs.
Right.
A sudden shudder passed over me. But still, I thought it was someone's prank.
Something paranormal.
The elevator then stopped again on the 8th floor while going up.
Wow.
But this time, there was a little girl standing in front of the door.
Okay.
She seemed like she was about 6 or 7 years old. But you know what was a strange thing about her? Despite the late hours, there was no one around her.
Right.
Like parents. You know, someone like that.
Was it an apparition?
But this kid just stood there still without getting on.
You gonna get on the...
Hey, kid, Are you going to get in? I asked. But she didn't answer. As soon as I felt chill somewhere, I soon pressed the close button of the elevator.
Bye, kid.
Just as the door was closing halfway through, she pressed the open button again.
Okay.
The short kid standing on tiptoes opened the elevator door, so I told her again to get inside.
Right.
However, she still stood there without answering.
All right, I'm taking the stairs.
Just at that time, I thought this was the one who's been playing pranks on me.
Sure.
So I pointed my finger at the CCTV and yelled at her not to prank anymore. Then the girl staring at me slowly opened her mouth. "I'll get in when my mom comes," she answered in a small voice. But I couldn't see any shadow of people no matter how much I looked around. But somehow her voice seemed really dark and creepy. It wasn't a childlike voice at all.
Oh.
I pressed the close button again roughly, and fortunately the kid didn't press the open button this time.
Thank goodness.
The elevator started going up again and didn't stop on the next floor.
Especially if it wasn't a kid's voice.
With a sigh of relief, I just wanted to get off and get home as soon as possible.
Yeah.
It was at that very moment. I was on the 11th floor and the light suddenly started blinking.
Uh-oh.
I was staring at the light with a nervous mind, and something was strange with it.
Okay.
There was some spot on the light that was stained, as if someone had dropped black ink. And to my surprise, it was getting bigger and bigger every time the light went on and off.
This is not good.
It can't be. I'm imagining because I drank too much.
How much did you
I
drink?
kept repeating it inside, but the stains grew bigger and bigger as if it was teasing me.
I don't know what you drink.
Although I was sweating on my back,
drink,
it was still chilly inside the elevator.
Right.
And the moment I looked at the light and then looked straight front this time, I couldn't help but doubt my eyes.
Was it the girl?
There, I could see a person's hand reflected on my back.
All right.
Seriously?
You're tripping, dude.
I was the only one in this elevator.
You are tripping.
After having confidence that there's an unknown thing that exists here,
yeah?
I was seized with extreme fear. The time to go up to the 16th floor was like an eternity.
Wow.
I couldn't hold my fear
still
back.
Moving.
I eventually pressed the button to get off the 14th floor.
Take the stairs the
I
rest
was
of the
about
way,
to pop
buddy.
out as soon as the door opened, but I had to stop suddenly. The girl I saw on the 8th floor was standing there, like she was waiting for me.
Oh my.
I felt like my heart was sinking. Shivering.
What is going on here?
Just as I was about to get off, she raised her head slowly.
Haunted?
At that moment, I saw it. Unlike before, she was smiling brightly,
oh my
as if
God.
her mouth was going to be
creepy,
ripped soon.
Bruh.
My mom is here now. I'm going to get in. Mom, what's she talking about?
Is that what was on
I'm
the
sure
elevator?
the elevator was empty from the basement floor.
Right.
Besides, not even a small rat was to be seen, let alone a human while I was inside.
I mean, it's
then who is
clearly
it?
paranormal, dude.
I was strained to the limit, and my legs were trembling. I almost pushed the child and ran out of the elevator to the emergency stairs.
Creepy kids are the worst.
For some reason, I was afraid that I'd never see my wife again if I stayed here.
What?
I was going up the stairs
felt
frantically.
By it?
Just then, the sensor at the emergency exit started turning on much faster than my speed.
Okay.
It's like someone was already going up. I was about to go insane.
Do lights pick
When I
up,
finally reached the 16th floor,
like,
I flung the
apparitions
emergency
and
door
stuff?
open and rushed out of.
Sure.
I turned. I tried to run toward my house, and then someone was standing in front of the house.
Bro, what the heck?
The woman with incredibly long hair and the girl I saw at
You
the
have
elevator.
to be imagining
They
stuff,
were
man.
there.
You have
How
to
the
be
heck did they know
imagining
my
stuff.
house?
That is so creepy.
I didn't know what was going on right now, but only one thing came to my mind for a moment. I must not go back home now.
What?
I barely managed to
gonna call
turn
your
back
wife
and
or something?
carefully twisted the
You're not
emergency
worried
door
about
again.
your wife?
And at that moment, my sweaty hand just slipped and the door clanked in the quiet hallway. The moment I looked into the hallway with a desire to cry, I suddenly heard a sound from the end of the hall. It was the sound
High
of a
heels.
woman's shoes and baby shoes.
Uh-oh.
I pushed the emergency exit
coming.
door. While I ran frantically downstairs, I could hear the shoe sounds behind me at regular intervals. Almost rolling over myself, I went down through the front door and then rushed into the lighted security office.
Bruh.
However, the security guard was just patrolling his round at that time,
Uh-oh.
so he was not there. I lifted my trembling body and looked at the front door through the small window in the front.
Right.
And at that moment, I felt my legs weaken.
You saw it?
A woman
Oh
and
my
a child
God,
didn't
dude.
come out of the front door, but they were glaring at me fiercely, as if they were going to kill me.
So this was
I was
on
about to
camera?
scream, but just then,
Security
the guard
guard.
came into the
Hey,
office.
what are you doing in here?
He got surprised to see me trembling and asked me what was going on. I tried to explain by pointing my hand at the front door, but then I
You didn't
realized
see anything?
that there was no one.
Check the
Eventually,
feet, man.
the security guard came to my house with me.
Thank goodness.
To my surprise,
Can you
my
escort
wife,
me
who
home?
thought she was asleep already, was waiting for me with the lights on.
Uh-huh.
And what my wife told me was a surprise
no.
itself. She said that someone rang our doorbell when I was seeing the woman and kid in front of my house.
Wow.
My wife thought it was me out there, so she walked to the front door to open it. But then she felt something wasn't right.
Okay.
Because whenever I came home late at night after dinner, I always acted more carefully instead of ringing the bell.
Sure.
So my wife turned on the intercom and looked out.
And didn't
But
see
there
anything,
was no
huh?
one. And when she returned to her seat, the bell rang again, and the same situation repeated on and on. So this time she was looking closely at the screen when the moment the bell rang without putting down the phone. And there was the face of the woman
Wow,
who
at
filled the
least she
screen
saw
to
it.
the full. At
So they're-
first, it's like someone was sticking her face on the screen intentionally.
Both?
But when my
witnessing the
wife
same
looked closely,
haunting?
her face looked so pale, as if it were dead already.
Right.
She urgently turned on all the light right away and tried to call the administration office.
Some sort of apparition.
However, the guard didn't answer because he was just on patrol at that time. And I was running downstairs like crazy.
Yeah.
When my wife saw the intercom screen again, it was already gone.
Had to be some
The
sort
next
of
day's
apparition.
morning, I went to the security office to check the elevator CCTV.
Right.
And I couldn't keep my mouth closed for a while in a panic. On CCTV, I could see that I was waiting for the elevator on the first floor.
Sure.
I stepped inside. Nothing happened at first. However, I suddenly started to press the buttons from 5th to 8th floors as if I were possessed by something. There was literally no one on the 7th floor. But I screamed into the air, and when the door opened on the 8th floor, I murmured something and then pressed the door's button to open. I pointed at the CCTV and said something, and then finally pressed the close button.
Right.
Furthermore, I was gazing on the elevator lights for a while.
So
then I suddenly pressed the button on the 14th floor and ran out.
Was it some sort of possession?
So that means I was doing something really weird.
You were delusional.
By myself.
Bro, what were you drinking
the
last night?
The CCTV on the front door also captured only me.
Yeah?
No one came out.
But your wife saw it too.
The guard laughed at me and my wife, saying that we saw imaginary things. But the feelings I felt at that moment were so real. It was so vivid. Who the heck were that woman and the child?
Right.
Still, I have no idea.
That's so weird. Oh, dude. You know, you gotta figure, if something like this would happen and you would see yourself doing things like this, I'd commit myself to a mental institution. I'd go in for a psychiatric evaluation. What in the world is happening to me? I would definitely stop drinking, dude. For sure. Wansee Entertainment, guys. Make sure to subscribe to him as well as a couple other reaction videos that I did from him. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.